here we go. Okay, we have you. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, my apologies. We had a little bit of a technical issue just a few moments ago. So we're back online now. So please do share with everybody and invite as many people to this group as we can. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we start, I'm just going to share into a few of my groups. So just bear with me for 2 seconds, if that's okay. So let's get this shared so we get a really, really, really nice interview here with Avtar. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Moment. Okay. Okay. Just wait for the. We're just waiting for the audience to build up as well here. So let me just have a look. Right. Good evening to you, Max. Thank you. Right. So let's get this shared here. That's one group. Let me get it shared here as well. Share to this group. I want to share this to this one, to this one, this one. That's it. Right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very, very good evening to you all. My name is Jonathan Waterman. I'm an award-winning wedding and events Toastmaster, coordinator, planner, celebrant, auctioneer, consultant, and a booking agent for all other services. This evening, I am delighted to be interviewing top wedding and events professional Avtar Thethy from London-based LED Factory. I've known and worked with Avtar for many years, and there really is nothing he does not know about anything LED. I will go as far to say he really is a guru in his field. Over the years, Avtar has proved his services at countless weddings and events. It's been proven, and he's provided them to thousands of them, of weddings. I really am honoured that Avtar is happy to be interviewed by me this evening. Following this interview, you will have the chance to ask Avtar and myself some questions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we start, as we know, we've lost 35,500 people in this country and nearly 350,000 people worldwide due to COVID-19. And we hope they're resting in peace. So can I just ask you all, just for 1 minute, just to close your eyes and have these people in your thoughts. Just for 1 minute, just a quick 1 minute silence, if that's all right. Thank you, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your thoughts are very, very, very much appreciated. I like the fact that we just show respect during this terrible, terrible episode to those that have unfortunately passed on. And unfortunately, yeah. So yes. So we just need to basically just try and, as I say, we've recollected our thoughts and we now move on. And this is something that I do at every interview. So thank you very much for doing that once again, everybody. Thank you. So, hi, Avtar. Lovely to be interviewing you and a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Jonathan, and good evening, everyone who's spared their valuable time for tuning in this evening.
Thank you very much.
Really looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to have you with us and for you to take the time to actually be part of this very special interview. First of all, Avtar, can I just ask you just to please reiterate and tell people who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Avtar Thethy, and for 10 years, June the 26th this year. I've headed up a company called LED Factory. We're based in West London, and we cover events all over the UK and into Europe as well. Been very privileged to work with you, Jonathan, on many occasions, be it weddings, award ceremonies, gala dinners, and what have you. We're based in West London, and we are probably the first company who brought wireless lighting into this country, LED lighting. Just to give you a brief background, came across a very, very intelligent guy from Germany, based in Cologne, about 10 and a half years ago. We met at an exhibition, and he showed me a product which really knocked me for six, which was basically a lighting fixture that was wireless in terms of power, and wireless in terms of signal, in terms of what color you could make this light. We then had a bit of a chat, and it's something that I was very much interested in. And I said to Harold, this is something I think that can really take off in the UK, and I think you guys should market it here. Cut a long story short, I started working for LED Factory Germany, worked with them for about 6-7 months. And initially, when we were taking the product to clients, literally from scratch, we had no previous clients or knowledge in this area. People used to laugh at us thinking, how can this fixture be wireless? And I said, not is it only wireless, it will remain lit for the next 8 to 10 hours wirelessly. And wow. There was like a TV type remote control, and you could change the colors and what have you. Wow. So LED Factory then came into its own right, because the Germans were very interested in selling the product, but at the time there was a big recession, and people were more interested in hiring. So when I said to the guys, this is what I want to do, we sort of parted company on very good grounds, because I felt that there was a really good need for this in the higher marketplace. So that's when 26th of June, LED Factory Limited was established, the UK division. And since then, we, as I said, it's going to be 10 years this year. And we've seen countless functions, events of any and every kind. But we've just developed that single lighting fixture into a lot of different things now. It's a full service that we provide. We design, we coordinate, we work with a lot of the big names dotted around this country in Europe, and we've just developed the country developed the company from there, really.
Well, you know, it's fantastic how you've kind of evolved over the times. You know, you've gone from strength to strength. You're implementing more and more solutions as time's going along. You're keeping the industry fresh, so to speak, and you're keeping a modern aspect to it. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely. I think, Jonathan, as you know, we're very sort of privileged to work in a thriving industry, and an industry that has no barriers or boundaries. The further you push your imagination, the better the events are getting. If you think just back to how events were 5 years ago, look at the weddings these days and what they're going to be like in 5 years' time. I think we've been sort of on the ball with every sort of new advance that's happened. We've moved along with the times. So as the industry has moved, we've moved with it. And obviously that incorporates fresh ideas, fresh products, new services. It's a never-ending story.
Well, that's right. I mean, as Avtar's just said, you know, we're evolving over the age. We now, if I had to explain it, we're in a digital age, aren't we? Really, you know, people are very digital.
Yeah, as I said, you know, people want bigger and better things. I know we're going through this episode at the moment, but if you look how we all finished up last year, you know, everyone in the events game, they had more business. The events were becoming more and more spectacular as the events went on. And some of the weddings that we've worked on, they've been better than corporate functions with the amount of spend and, you know, the new ideas that have been incorporated within that, you know.
Yeah, that's great. You know, thank you very much for sharing that with our audience, Avtar. Just want to kindly move on and ask, you know, what is your biggest market? Would you say? Would you say weddings or corporate events, or what type of weddings, what type of corporates? What's really, where's LED Factory? You would say, how can I say, have the biggest kind of impact?
I think our biggest impact is most definitely in the corporate arena, because one of the lines that the service, the products that we do, is based around the table centerpiece. What makes our centerpiece so different to everyone else's? It lights up, and the way it's lit, the way it sequences through colors and patterns and themes and what have you. So it's a focal point that there's 10 people on a table. All those 10 people are focused on that centerpiece. And then if there's 100 tables in the room, that's 1,000 people looking at something in the middle of a table. So that's sort of where it all started from. But you know, we've gone on to bigger and better things as the market is involved. You know, but there's no end to this. You know, you can. What's new today, it's old tomorrow. What you've seen at a wedding last week or at an award ceremony, it's old hat. People want to move on. They want to strive more and more forward and getting bigger and bolder and better, more glitzy. You know, that sort of environment. Well, and as I said, we've loved to move with it, really.
Well, that's the whole thing, you know. It keeps it fresh. We're in the digital age, as I said earlier. You know, people do want it. They want to go out of their box. They want you to create something special, which is why people generally come to you. I take it because you're very creative on the LED side and decor side, aren't you?
I think no matter what you do, whether you're a cake maker, a caterer, a decor specialist like us, you got to keep on moving the game forward, because if it's your award ceremony this week and next week you're going to another one, you don't want to see the same old things, you know. So every event, the products are so many. It's the way in which you use that product. It's the way in which you provide a service. It's not just a matter of turning up with 10 lights at the event and say, well, here you go, this is what we're doing. It, you know, involves months and months, sometimes a year before we're planning the event. So you imagine looking forward to a year. We know what the venue is, but then we've got to see how we're going to decorate that venue, how to bring the goodness in that venue out to give the customer that feeling of importance, you know, to make them feel special. Because no doubt they've been into that venue maybe 10 times before your event. It's how you're going to make that venue look different and how you're going to make the guest feel. That's paramount in our design, in our cooperation with planners like yourself, with event organizers. We want to get inside that person's brain and see what they're thinking, because whatever they're thinking, we want to times that by 10 and then go in big and do something that guests perhaps haven't seen before.
Well, that's right. I mean, what it comes down to ultimately, as I say, is in the sales process is, you know, and obviously the implementation process is telling their story, isn't it? What you want to do is tell their story, but you want to enhance it so much that that then both the clients and their guests are going to have the wow factor.
100%. I mean, the team and I, we believe that from the time you step into the venue, regardless of before you enter the main arena, so to speak, as soon as you enter, you know, it should make you feel good. So, you know, I know there's canopies, there's drinks and what have you, but people are looking around. They're looking around to see what the entertainment is, what the decor looks like. Lighting is very important. So even that reception maybe lasts 45 minutes to an hour and a half sometimes. We're trying to build the whole thing up. And then when they enter the venue, you know, the wow is there. And we just love to see people's jaws drop, you know, when they see the decor, the lighting, the special effects that we're involved in. We love that. The best thing that I enjoy is probably looking at the smiles on people's face saying, wow, look at that. And you can read their lips when they're saying that.
That's fantastic. You know, you've mentioned corporate events, you know, your award ceremonies, which is a great market. It's thriving. Obviously, it will thrive once, obviously, things kind of get back to normal. But it's always been very thriving in that sector. How about the wedding market? You were saying that, the weddings are getting more extravagant. I understand you've got quite a big following within the Asian market as well as other parts of the wedding industry. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, being Indian Asian, we do get involved in a lot of Asian weddings. There's a lot of mixed marriages now. We've started to go into the Jewish wedding market as well, who seem to love our products and the services that we provide. And with the Asian market, I mean, we do English weddings as well, but not as many as Indian weddings, I would say. And the way the Asian wedding market has gone, it's gone full circle. From the 700,000-800,000 people wedding, now look where we are. There's no weddings in this climate. So I think we've come full circle, and it's time for everyone to now rethink, replan, just to think the whole thing through again and then start again.
Absolutely, it is. That's what this COVID-19 has done. Just to reiterate on Avtar's previous comments, it's basically given us time to take a step back. What's going to work for us? What's going to work for you? What's going to work? What can you do different in doing your delivery to the client? I mean, it's all these things to really take into consideration, and it gives you a chance to restructure your business if you're not there really. To make it more cutting edge. Just obviously you've reiterated where you started. You've been going through your process. You're now at LED Factory. You've developed lots of obviously different ideas, different experiences. Do you have plans to really expand? Is there any more plans to expand?
Absolutely. I think what we never done was we didn't go down the route of many of the roadshow type route. It was never my intention to have maybe 6 or 10 teams out on the road at the same time, because I'm quite a fussy person and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So we only take on one event per sort of one day, if you like. If somebody wants to hire products of us, that's fine, but we're only in one place at one time. And the reason why I've always followed that route is we want to give our customer the best possible solution. So, that's no disrespect to anyone who's got many teams out there. We were never about that. We almost created quite an exclusive market to ourselves, whereby you wouldn't see us in 5 hotels on the Bath Road at the same time. It was never about that. What we wanted to do was, if we're doing your function, give our 100% commitment to you and your family, and make sure we're looking good, your venue looks good for your guests. And that way, that's how we've built such a large following, a large name in a very short space of time. 10 years, for some people, is a long time. 10 years in the industry is a relatively short period of time. And I think in that time, we've built our own sort of clients. People are looking for different things and not just the normal run-of-the-mill stuff.
No, well, absolutely. It's as you say, sometimes you can overdo it on you can actually overdo it on your brand. Sometimes, I like the idea that you stick to one function a day, which is good because you're helping the client with their solution. You're concentrating on their wedding or their event, and you haven't got others to worry about what's happening here, there, and everywhere. So I think that's a very, very good thing what you're doing. And it's as you say, if people have got more teams in what they're doing, then if it works for them, very, very good. But it works for you just to have the one team. I'm right in saying that.
Yeah, I mean, we over the 10 years, it's given us a lot of time to compare what we do, not in terms of the products that we provide, but the service that we provide. And, I think what we always wanted was, in the breath that somebody mentions a big name, if you like, we just wanted to be remembered with those people. Hence, we work with a lot of the bigger names in the industry, and I enjoy that because they give us a line of work which perhaps we wouldn't have got on our own accord. Having said that, in the corporate market, it's a different story because we are the first stop. In Asian wedding market, normally it's an agent or someone will book us for somebody, although we get direct work as well. But in the corporate, we've created our own identity. And I think that's a very, very good thing for what we're about. And it's not about, you know, doing 5 functions in one evening, and it's never about the money with us, because being a little bit older than a lot of the other sort of people who are in the industry, you know, as you get older, you realize it's not just about the money. There's many other things that exist outside of money. And LED Factory have never been a company who've sort of just gone out to get as much money as we can. It's never been about that, and it never will be.
No, well, I think that's a very, very good market ethic, really. You know, you know what you need to charge. You know where you need to be, and you're delivering the solution that the client requires, which is great, really. To be honest with you, I think that's a very, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you know, some of these events, Jonathan, and you've been with me on these events, you know, the pre-production meetings, all the stuff that goes on maybe 6 months or a year before the actual wedding or the award ceremony. We go to these meetings. By the time the function arrives, the day of the function, we know that client almost inside out. They're not a client, they're almost like a friend by then.
Yeah.
And they know what we're going to deliver, because we always under promise and we've always over delivered. Always. If somebody has a budget of X and we think, well, we can only really do that, we say, okay, fine, you pay that, but on the day we will still put out what we intended for the event to look like. And then obviously we tell them, look, this is what you wanted, but this is what we said and this is what we've done. And that's how we get repeat business. And there's never been an issue. You know, we don't spend a lot of money on big advertising. We don't need to. Our advert is when we're at that function, you're the couple, we've done your function, there's 400, 600, 800 people in the audience. They're the ones who we're looking to impress. And we've done that. I think we've done it very well over the last 10 years.
Yes, you have. I mean, I'm suppose I'm talking from my level, from my in my professional capacity, that having worked with Avtar on many occasions, I can vouch that he has always put. It's always been about passion with Avtar. You know, he wants to deliver and he over delivers, and I can personally vouch for that as a fellow wedding and events professional. That you know, everything that Avtar is saying is from the heart, and that means a lot. Now, can I just ask you, please, Avtar? I'm just very curious to know, where does actually all this passion come from? You know, passion. Where does it just like so much?
You know, back in time, so I went through the education process in this country and went on to further education. And then for 25 years, I was involved in the insurance industry, financial services. And back in 2008, 2009, I was made redundant. And I used to wear a suit every day and a tie and clean shaven. When I came into this industry, I promised myself that as much as I can help it, I would never wear a tie again. I'll wear the suit, I'll wear the shirts, but I wouldn't wear a tie, apart from these black tie dinners where we have to wear a black tie. And I think what happened was something that a lot of my family thought that it was just a pastime thing. I'll do LED Factory until something better comes along. I think I just had a real eye for it. I had a passion for it. And over the years, that passion just got stronger and stronger. It's like, you know, when we started this, half the family stopped talking to me because they're thinking, after all this education, you're going to do this now. And I said, well, no, we're going to make it into a big success. We're going to make it into something. And now the same family members, they go around to, oh, you know, my son-in-law does this, and my husband's doing that, and my brother's doing this. Something which I didn't get approval from right at the beginning. We've worked for that, you know, and that has driven me with the passion to prove not everyone, but to prove quite a few people wrong and say, guys, we are somebody different. We know you've booked your DJ, we know you've booked the bar, but we're going to come in and we're going to do something really, really special, something different. That's the icing on the cake, so to speak.
I mean, it's an amazing thing because clients are they're generally looking for something different, something which you can enhance their experience and something which they're going to remember. Am I right in saying that? It's always about being different, not just being the norm.
You know, the year before last, of 2018, 2018, we had at the Sofitel Heathrow for 4 weeks running. We were there every week of that month, And you see the room, it's the same old. But we just said to the customer, to the client, well, why do you want your room set like this? Why don't you do it like this? Why don't you do it like that? And just by setting the room up differently, putting the stage in a different area, arranging the tables differently, putting the lighting in a different sort of scenario, it looked like a brand new venue. It didn't look like that hotel that everyone was used to. And I think that's what it's all about, because sometimes the customer doesn't have much choice on the venue, but they do have a choice on the suppliers. And I've always said to the clients who we've been involved in, look, have a look around. We got no issues, but then come and have a look at us, and we'll show you how that room can be made to look different. We can show you how the reception is going to be totally jaw-dropping, and people will say, wow, look at this. We haven't seen this done before. Because no two couples are the same, and no wedding is the same either.
Well, that's right. I mean, basically, you're going into a venue, into an event space. You're going into a space. A client have generally, if it's Asian weddings, they've dry hired the space. If it's corporate, they've got a package with a venue, whatever the case may be, and and you're going to come in and you're going to kind of you're going to make that room magnificent.
100%. And I think, Jonathan, the other thing is, while we're on sort of this part of the interview, you and I know that a lot of venues have preferred suppliers.
Yes.
And when we've first become commissioned by the client or the organizer to say, guys, we want you to come and do your stuff in this venue, sometimes you're up against tough competition because it's not the norm. The venue hasn't seen outside things. It's only what their preferred suppliers are supplying week in, week out. Those same sort of venues that we had a lot of trouble getting in initially, we're now preferred suppliers there. You know what I mean? We've had to almost prove ourselves to say, we're worthy of looking after this venue. We're worthy of doing this. Why don't you have a look at what we're doing? And it's worked well for us and the client, and for the venues as well.
Well, that's good, because it's all about that big trust factor. It's we look at the logistical side of things. You understand the logistics, the setup, the times of access, the times you need to be out the venue by. Obviously you've got all the certificate, the LED, the certificates, the pack testing, the and everything that goes with it. So I take it, obviously, I'm sure if you agree with me here, that it is really a whole process that the venue looks at, isn't it? How clean you are, how you do your work, and then the end product when it comes to setting down. Is that right?
I think, Jonathan, at any function, a client will be there, let's say, maximum of 6 hours, right? So they see the glamour. They want to be the DJ. They want to be the lighting company. They want to be the caterer. But they only seen the glamorous part of that show. Don't forget, people like you and us, we've been there 12 hours earlier. We're going through our rehearsals. We're seeing how the equipment looks best, which colors are going to work, which ones are not going to work. So I think to do the function is the easiest part. Once you've been to the meetings, you know what the client wants, you know what they're expecting, but it's up to us to deliver it. But before that comes all the paperwork, the pack testing, the risk assessments, the method statements, and it's not the same for every wedding. They change. The number of tables, what you're going to do if this happens, what you're going to do if that happens. And then, as I said, people see the glamour side. They don't see the things that go wrong. There's always things that can go wrong, and they do go wrong in a function. But we see that. The outside customer doesn't see that. We got to be prepared that, on the first dance, you're firing up the sparkler machine or the dry ice. What if that doesn't work? What substitute do you have to make sure the client is not disappointed? So it's things like that. As I said, the easiest thing is the function itself, but it's all the planning beforehand. I've seen you, with 20, 25, 30 sheets of paper, you're putting crosses in, drawing lines, circling things. And that's how we do it, because you have to be a perfectionist. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And if you don't, you may as well do something else. Well,
that's right. It's a full package, and it is. We've got to kind of be one step ahead, as you say, of the clients all the time. They pay for a service. Things can happen sometimes to a disappointment where something can go wrong. But in our professional capacity, we need to work as a team, and we need to kind of find a solution very quickly. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said earlier, with some venues, obviously, the caterer is in command because it's a drive room hire. So they're in command. But sometimes what they say and what is allowed in the venue, what you can do, what you can't do, sometimes it's not communicated to us properly. And sometimes on the day, the way the venue is, it's going to be a big disappointment. And then you have to call the management, you have to get them around the table, say, guys, look, this is what the client has booked us for. We've only come in to do this. It's not our production. We've just come to do, for argument's sake, the first dance. Do you want her to, or him to be disappointed? And once you get their understanding, and once they've seen you there a few times, there's so many venues now, they acknowledge that we're there. They don't even come back. They don't check nothing. Because when we first went there, we were specific. We're still by the book. We will do everything. And then also the fact that anything and everything that can go wrong, you have to take that into account.
Well, that's I mean that's a good thing, because as I say, you're a perfectionist. The venues think highly of you, and the clients see you, the way you work as well, being a perfectionist in it. And I mean, the end result is recommendations, repeat business. It's quite a lot behind it, isn't there? Really.
For me, obviously, yes, the client has paid the money. Normally, the money is, you've had the money before you even get to the function. But when you're standing at the door, the couple have to make their entrance, and you're standing with them, and the bride will give you a hug, or the bridegroom, he's giving you a high five, he's giving you a hug, and say thank you so much. For me, that's what it's about. When they get into the venue, and you've done a good job. All the other suppliers have worked with you. There's people like yourself who keep people like us in check, right? But as a team, I think sometimes there may be 20 suppliers in the room, but people don't realize that. They just think, oh, this person has done everything. But we know that there's so many people who make up the whole team. But to see the expression on the face of the couples, their parents, their grandparents, their friends, and when they come up to you and they congratulate and give you a hug saying, well done, guys, you lot have smashed it. That seems to be the end word. And for me, that's what does it.
No, well, that's good, and that's passion. You're so passionate about what you do, and that comes over very evidently, to me and all the audience here, which is great. So thank you for answering that question. In relation, obviously, to other markets you wish to explore, I mean, you mentioned the Asian, the Jewish market, the corporate market. What's your take on destination weddings? Have you had much, much inquiry for destination weddings?
We've done 2 destination weddings, and when I say done, we've participated as a team just into Western Europe, because obviously with us, it's not one person taking a set of decks abroad on the plane. It's a whole load of equipment. Destination weddings are a little bit difficult for us because we've got to transport all our kit there, because that kit sometimes you can't get abroad. So we do get inquiries, but sometimes when the cost is explained to the client, then sometimes it's a little bit out of the equation. Having said that, when it's corporate functions abroad, we've done many. We've been to quite a few countries where it's an award ceremony. Our equipment has gone over with, the AV company that's gone from the UK. We've dwelled out on our own. We've delivered to Frankfurt, to Cologne, to Amsterdam. So many places we've driven with our equipment. But when it comes to flying equipment abroad, it becomes quite expensive for the client.
Well, it does. It all takes into consideration, because obviously it's cargo and they charge per kilo. So I suppose it depends on on budget. At the end of the day, I know it's all about quality, which it is, but sort of budgets and price do sometimes come into play. I take it. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if for instance, I don't know, average wedding here, 300 people, 350 people, Indian wedding. Obviously, at a destination wedding, maybe you're lucky to get 100, 150 there. It's a different marketplace. Yes, I think destination weddings are on the rise, but I still think the best weddings are in the UK.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Especially in London.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much for, Thank you very much. I mean, Avtar being a Londoner here, I suppose he's been very biased there, but that's nice. That's fine. We can go with that. So just to move on to the next question, can I ask you? You talk about a lot of your businesses repeats, it's recommendations, that type of thing. Do you promote your businesses much on social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest? What's your take on those platforms? And maybe
when we started 10 years ago, I always thought that we're going to have to spend money in putting our advert in the magazine and the show guide. Most often we would have to trade off quite a bit of our money to make sure we get the advert in the brochure. As time's moved on, I think social media has taken over everything. It's like we have a website, which is okay, but we have a website because people ask us, do you have a website? But because our work is very, very visual and it's there in front of your eyes, Facebook and now Instagram are working very, very well for us. Facebook always has, because our work is visual. We put 3 or 4 photos up, a couple of video clips. Probably about 70% of our inquiries come from Facebook, from social media, let's say. We've just got onto TikTok recently, just a few weeks ago, just started putting some of our videos up. The response we've had, the inquiry we've generated has been amazing, and we're really happy. And for our company, as I said, we like to go on social media, because these days, do people have time to go to websites, to showrooms? Probably not. And, it doesn't matter what you were doing last week, you're as good as your last function. And clients, I think on social media, they can see week in, week out, we're consistent. And we go above and aboard, what's expected of us. But the social media arm has really, really helped us to develop our business to a good standard.
Yeah, well, social media, in a sense, it's like having your link to the world. It's your own channel, basically. Yes. You're marketing it in such a way where it's going to be clear, it's going to be attractive. Obviously the post needs to be attractive. It needs to be innovative. So that way people can share your posts, which is very, very good for Facebook. Yes. And it's funny you talk about TikTok. I only just joined that myself today, and I have to say I'm very impressed with it. I have to say for some reason it's not, the algorithms haven't much come into play there yet, have they?
No, to be honest, I'm still trying to get my head around Instagram. My wife does most of our Instagram posts, but on Facebook I do them myself. As I said, on TikTok ago, a lot of guys were saying you should go on there. I said, well, that's for youngsters. That's not my age group. And they said, no, just put a few of your videos up, some of your, the sparkler product we use, the first dances. I think I put 4 videos up, and in 2 days we had like 12 inquiries just for the first dance. So we actually haven't told them what we do. That's just trying to impress them in the first 15 seconds of the clip. So I think for us, TikTok will be a good thing. Instagram is good, and a lot of the bigger names, bigger companies use that. We're hoping to become professional in Instagram, but I think Facebook, we've nailed it, because we've built up a huge following. We haven't bought any likes. We don't buy any followers. It's all original. It's grown organically, and we're really happy with the results. And we get a lot of praise from that as well. And our photos, they're not touched up photos. They're all photos that I've taken with my iPhone, and we come up with these phrases, these sentences. It's something that is a pastime of mine. I love to write. I've always loved to write feelings and stuff. But the group I used to go around with, they weren't very poem friendly, if you like. So we've just put those phrases and quotations to a lot of our work, and it works well for us. We're not complaining on that.
That's very, very good, because that's a very good way of doing it, actually, on social media, where obviously guests want to know your prospects don't want you to sell the service, so to speak. They want to know the benefits of your service. They want to hear about how's it going to benefit them. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a solution to their problem, and you're there to obviously give them that, solution to that problem. And it's funny you mentioned about social media. We're talking about Facebook. The scope there is phenomenal, really, because you build your own groups. People follow you. They follow you. They share your posts and everything. I mean, do you tend to use Facebook to put your reviews on?
We're just having our website redesigned because there are a lot of services that are not on our website at the moment. So Facebook, if you like, it is our website. We've got quite a few reviews on there. We haven't bought these reviews. These are real people. And if anybody wishes to speak to the person who we last worked for, we'd gladly give them our number. And we know they will give us a glowing review because, as I said, we've over-delivered. We under-promised, we over-delivered. And I think that's been our thesis all along. And if anyone wants to speak to, we're still in contact with customers from 9 years ago, 8 years ago. They're still giving us business. And for me, that's the biggest thing, where don't disappoint anyone, promise less, deliver more, keep them happy, and your business will flourish. It will progress. There's no issues. There's no question about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's fantastic ethics, and that's one for our listeners to actually take on board. What Avtar's just, just giving his thoughts, basically. Just moving on to the next question. Just a few more left now.
Yeah, no worries.
Now, we touched very, very, very briefly earlier on the market that you're involved in, and we spoke about quality and price. What's your take? Do you think a lot of potential prospects nowadays are more price orientated? Are they looking for quality, or do you think they're just only looking for something different?
I think price is very important. People obviously they're working to a budget. With some people, it's all about the price. And to be honest, those sort of events, I don't really like to be sucked into an argument almost, where we're quoting against suppliers who we do work for, people who we work with. So I just say, look, guys, in your shopping around, what are you actually looking for? Because if it's just the price, if you think we're expensive, I can send you to the cheapest person. It's not an issue. But that may not be right for your particular function. And Jonathan, we've seen that on many functions where we've worked together. The weakest link in that supplier list can be seen very clearly at 5-star venues. If somebody is under-delivered, we see that all the time. We know that, and then the customer sees that as well. So I think from that point of view, it is very important that you get to know your customer. I want to see what they're thinking. I want to hear what their fears are. And as I said, if it's just about price, perhaps we're not the company that you would come to. But if you said, we've got a 50th birthday party, we've got 100 people coming, whether that functions for 100 or 1,000, our commitment, our passion is the same. And we'll say, guys, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And then sometimes when we're reading off these solutions and these suggestions, the client says, well, I don't have that much of a budget. I can't spend that much money. And when you actually tell them what it's going to cost, they say, oh, we didn't think it would be as much as that. But we're in the driving seat because we know that other people would not suggest that. We only do what we're good at. We don't try and emulate other people. Let them get on with their job, and we like to get on with ours. So the price, yes, sometimes it does come into it, but we're not really that sort of company where we go down and devalue the service and the products. One of our lighting fixtures on the middle of a table is £350. So we're not interested in doing centerpieces for 10 quid. We can't do that.
Yeah.
So price is not really doesn't come to our equation at all, I wouldn't think.
No, that's it. People are coming to you for a service. They know all about you. They've done their research. They want a 5-star service, and that's exactly what they're going to get from you is a 5-star service. I like the stance that obviously that you've taken. That you use all your sales techniques. And you say, I get the impression it's all about price. I get sense it's about price, and you're looking for price rather than quality. And then it's the same story. Is it? Not every client's going to be for you, is it? Unfortunately.
No. Look, there's there is someone somewhere who will love what you do, and they will love what you charge. But there's many who wouldn't, you know. So it's not a question of, you know, we're trying to get the bigger functions. It's about the client. It's what they want to spend. We don't look, oh, this job is paying us this much, so let's try and get that. As I said, we're not about that, but we want to deliver what we're good at. You know, just to tell you a quick story. About 3 years ago, New Year's Eve, we had a very, very big inquiry. It was in central London, and we had to provide a whole load of furniture. 3 days before, the client pulled out. We'd been undercut by somebody. We were very disappointed because we put all our, you know, we'd gone to 2 site visits. We had done a lot of preparation work. So when the client said, we're not booking you, I was very upset. So we didn't get the job. 2 days after New Year's Day, so on the 3rd of January, the client rings me, and I thought, hang on, what's this guy ringing me for? And I spoke to him, and he goes, hi, how are you? I said, yeah, I'm good. He goes, just wanted free. Are you free on New Year's Eve? I said, New Year's Eve was 2 days ago. He said, no, New Year's Eve this year. I said, well, what happened? You know, you got these guys, they come in. He goes, our doors opened at 8. These guys come in at 5, 6 o'clock. They set the room up. Because by the time everyone was in, the LED furniture turned off. The light started going out. And he goes, and when obviously the company who they were ringing, their phone is switched off. They don't want to know. When the company came in to pick the equipment up, obviously the organizers, they're furious because he felt that his guests have been let down. And he said, look, he goes, you guys charged me this much money. Your phone was off. We couldn't reach you, you know, and your lights went off. And they said, yeah, he said, but we had this other guy in, this guy called Avtar from LED Factory. He said that the lights would remain on till 4 or 5 in the morning. And you know what they said to him? They said, yeah, his ones do, but you get what you pay for. The supplier had actually said that if he had booked me, he would have been better off. But at that time, price was the most important thing to him. And he went for the cheaper option. And as I said, by 10 o'clock, all the furniture started switching off. And that wasn't what he wanted.
Yeah, and it does go to show that quality is more, can take a precedence over price, because sometimes you end up paying more anyway. Sometimes this thing isn't right. And so I think it just goes to show that clients need to do a bit more research on occasions. Just some do. I'm just saying, generally, the clients need to look at reviews in more details of you know, reviews of the of what they've received from the from previous clients, from venues. They need to look at credentials. They need to do their homework a little bit more. I'm not saying as I said to the moment ago, I'm not saying that people don't, but some people need to maybe enhance that a little bit more.
I think the other thing, Jonathan, now is, and what we've seen in the last 10 years, you know, when we first started, a client would walk into our offices, into our, you know, storage space and say, what do you think I should have? Now, when we see a customer, they know what they want. They know which products they're looking for. They know what kind of service they want. So the client is more educated now. They know what they're looking for. And if you're a company who can give them what they want, you're halfway there. Yes, the price is important. And then sometimes it's like you've got to educate the client to say, look, we can't do this for £10. You know, we can't do this for £50. It's going to cost you more, but this is the benefit of that. If you're using like Class A products, they cost us a lot of money. So hence we have to charge that. You know? Whereas some of the copycat sort of companies, the companies who we've inspired, who see us now as competition, you know, they're using £20 fixtures on the middle of their tables. That's why they can do the centerpieces so much cheaper. You know, we can stand on one end of the room. I'm having my dinner at Grosvenor House. I'm controlling all the tables while I'm having my dinner. Whereas other people, they'll say, no, they can only remain blue all night. You know, it's little things like that. But I think once you explain to the client why they're paying more, most people will understand.
Well, that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, the big thing is your USP. You know, what is your unique selling point? How are you, as I said earlier, how are you benefiting that? How are you benefiting their solution? How are you enhancing it? That's what it's about, isn't it?
Absolutely. You get married once, or the award ceremony happens once a year. Yeah. So there's no time for rehearsals. All the rehearsals, all the preparation is done beforehand. On the day of the event, we got to deliver regardless. The client doesn't care if our child is ill or if the wife is not feeling well. It's not about that. We've promised them a service. We have to deliver. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Okay, just two more questions. Thank you very much, obviously, for explaining that in detail, Avtar. That's great. So, can I ask you, COVID-19, how much of an impact has it had on your business? Has it impacted you in a very, very large way?
Absolutely. It's had quite a detrimental effect on our business. We've, in the last 8 weeks now, I would say we've postponed. Well, we haven't postponed. The client has got back to us, but we've rescheduled 63 events for next year in the last 8 weeks. Supposed to be, in 2019, we've met a couple of times and said, next year we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Look, everyone's sitting at home, so whatever we thought was going to happen, it hasn't happened. But I think with this COVID thing, as I said, it's given a chance for everyone to see where they really are and where they were heading or what they're doing. And I think now, as I said, we don't have functions now till October. All our March, April, May functions, June, July is being cancelled. August was the first to go. So we don't have events now till October. And that's the kind of effect. And we're a very small company compared to some of the other companies. And I think the main thing is we've remained in contact with all our customers, with all our clients. We haven't avoided their phone calls. If somebody wanted a refund, we refunded them the money. If somebody wanted our help in speaking to the venue, speaking to other suppliers, we've helped them. And as I said, we've successfully reprogrammed for next year. And, that's the way to do it, because the customer, yes, they booked your service, but they will remember you for helping them out. And I believe in that. We've helped a lot of people. Some people we haven't even connected. We weren't even booked with them, but we quoted for them. They said, look, we're getting this difficult, we're having that. And wherever we can, we've always tried to help them.
No.
So this COVID thing has had a really big and bad effect on businesses in our industry.
It has. The hospitality industry has suffered in a very, very large way, whether that's weddings, events, conferences. The knock-on effect is huge, to be honest with you. It's all about social distancing. As Avtar said, we hope October, November things will come back, but it's it's still basically, it's very, very, very much sit on the fence at the moment. So we have to be patient, and that's all. That's all we can do, really.
Yeah. I think, Jonathan, the other thing is that this year is virtually a write-off. In all honesty, we had an inquiry just a few days ago for a Christmas party, but we know even the December events are being pulled now. Like people are in the process of cancelling. So I think with the corporate stuff, they're straight cancellations, they're not postponements. Weddings are being postponed till next year. So I think next year will be a very busy year. Obviously, we've got next year's work as well, but I think there'll be an increase in midweek weddings because a lot of the venues can't accommodate that customer who's cancelling this year for next year. So they've offered them midweek, the event space. So I think next year, all of us, we're going to be busy midweek as well as the weekends to clear up the backlog.
Absolutely. I'm beginning to see that. I'm hearing that from others in the business. I can speak for myself as well. Yes, I have noticed though for next year, they basically have a lot of bookings already in the diary from people that are booked for next year for 2021 bookings, and they are a lot of postponements are resulting in midweek bookings. So you are right in saying that, and that seems to be a general consensus within the industry.
Yes.
So. One big question for you before we come on to the very, very last. Now, it's a very, very big question, and it's very controversial on people's thoughts. What are your thoughts generally on wedding and events insurance, on clients taking wedding and events insurance at the time of booking?
I think, obviously, none of us saw what's happening now. And I think one thing is for sure, everyone realizes how important wedding insurance is. For me personally, I would almost make it like our car insurance is, you have to have insurance. And I think if more couples had perhaps, in comparison to what they're spending in their wedding, a couple of £100 for an insurance policy in the grand scheme of things wouldn't have made a big dent in their budget. I'm all for insurance, and I think every customer, every client, couple, I think it should be compulsory for them to have it. That's my personal opinion.
I think that's a very, very good take on it. I mean, the figures were, but just as and when the COVID-19 started within the UK, that only 35% of couples took wedding events insurance.
Yes.
At that time, when if people booked 6 months or 12 months prior to the lockdown, prior to it all starting, the insurance companies were given indemnities for COVID-19, for pandemics. I mean, nowadays, now you won't. It's a difficult one. Any insurance company you go to be covered will not cover the pandemic. But it is absolutely fantastic wedding insurance. If there's a venue closure, there's a death in your family, that type of thing. A supplier could go into liquidation. So there's all sorts of things. And in the scheme of things, as Avtar says, to pay a small premium, it's worth every penny, and it makes you feel, and it makes you feel better inside. I think I'll go with Avtar, and I'll say it's an absolute fantastic thing, really.
The other thing, Jonathan, is, the insurance policies you could buy a year ago, they were very different to what you're going to be able to buy in insurance policies now. There's going to be so many terms and conditions and restrictions and exclusions now to what they were 12 months ago. And a lot of people, as you said, the big insurance, not even insuring people anymore, because they've, quite often they bought these policies. They knew that people wouldn't claim on them, but now look, all the claims have come together, and it'll put a few businesses out.
I think it's right, because a lot of the insurance companies did include the indemnity, and they gave it to the client in writing that the pandemics will be covered. Now it's come to the point where they need to claim. The insurance companies are putting their foot down, and they're trying to get out the indemnity. So it's a very, very, very grey area, unfortunately.
Absolutely, because there's no frontline underwriting on these policies. See, you can just go and buy a policy. That's not the issue. It's underwritten at the point of claim. And a lot of the cheaper insurance policies, just like with the suppliers, they're not designed to play out. They will look for any excuse where they can get out and not pay.
Well,
but then there's insurance companies, they got no hesitation. They were ready for this sort of thing. But as I said, the policies now are going to be very, very different to what they were of yesterday.
Yes, I will. I agree with this. Like you said, the underwriting will be different. The indemnities will be very, very different. And, Rashpal Nandri, you came on just after a minute ago, a question in relation to insurance cover. I hope both myself and Rashpal have cleared that up for myself and Avtar cleared that up for you, Rashpal, in terms of your question there. So basically, just summing it up, I mean, how do you see the future of the wedding and events industry? What's your take on it?
I think when we return, it's going to be a very, very big comeback for everyone. Whether you're a venue, a supplier, a Toastmaster, a wedding planner, I think there's a lot of work to do, and we're going to be very busy. We just got to ride this storm out. But while this storm is going on, I think there's a lot of things that we all need to correct in all our businesses. And I would certainly like to see some sort of regulation, some sort of body come up, and where you can be a part of an association, just like, builders, accountants, solicitors, they all belong to some sort of society or an association. I would love to see that in our business, because it will weed out a lot of the cowboys. They're going to get weeded out anyway in the next 12 to 18 months as we speak. But I think some sort of regulation would be it'll be a good thing. And we've spoken on this topic many a times, Jonathan. So I'm one for regulation. I don't know how others feel, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we've discussed this between us several times and with others, and it can only be beneficial, and it can only make the industry a stronger place. Where a team of experts come together and create an association of some sort. I think
Yes.
it can only be a beneficial factor, really. So no, thank you for answering all the questions, Avtar. How would you like to close on this?
I just think, you know, as I said, we're in a storm at the moment. Let's ride the storm out, because there's very sunny days ahead. There's good days coming ahead. We've just got to, while this sort of downtime is there, let's make our industry a much better place. Let's be taken seriously by other industries, and we're not just like, you know, people who just come and, you know, do weddings. You know, it's a really good industry. I've been in it 10 years and I love it. I wouldn't change it. So, you know, just keep in contact with your clients. I would say keep in contact with industry folk. You know, if you're feeling down, speak to people, because there's always someone who's in a better state of mind than you are sometimes. And I think contact is very important.
Yeah. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you on what you've said. You know, I think that's a great closure. You know, you've you've got a massive passion for the industry. You know, like myself, really ride the storm. You know, look at your business model, see where you want the business model to go, and take it. You know, and work with it accordingly. You know, as I say, COVID, as we've both discussed in this interview, COVID-19 is giving us all the chance to actually reflect on the industry, on what we can do and how we can enhance it. And you know, and a lot has come out during this period, to be honest with you. So, you know, basically, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a very, very big thank you to you all for tuning in to our interview this evening. And Avtar, a very, very big thank you to you for taking the time.
Likewise. Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in this evening. You know, taking time out of your diaries and, you know, time you could have spent with your family. Just to sort of let you know, Jonathan, I and many suppliers, you know, we're only at the end of a phone call. You know, I'm sure Jonathan will put our contact details. If you want to speak about anything, give us a call. You know, we're here. We're here to help. You know, obviously, we are looking after our own clients, but even if you haven't booked us, maybe you need a bit of guidance. You know, you can speak to us. You know, it's not an issue. And if we can help you in any way, we will go out of our way to help.
Absolutely. And, you know, Avtar's got that on the nail. So basically, if anyone does have any questions meanwhile, or they do want us to get in touch, do please leave a comment on the interview forum, on the live wedding events and hospitality interview forum. And, you know, whether if you want to address it to myself or Avtar, you know, we'd be pleased to come back to you accordingly. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Keep safe and well. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.